The plate hit the tile and exploded into 3 white shards. Soy sauce splattered across the grout like a dark stain I knew I would never fully scrub out. Mark didn't even flinch. He just stood there in his navy work shirt, the one I had ironed that morning, and wiped a drop of the sauce from his cuff with his thumb. He looked at the mess on the floor and then at me, and his voice was flat as old soded. "Have you seen the blue binder from my study?" I felt my hands shake. I gripped the edge of the counter and told him I threw it out with the old newspapers. I said it loud enough for Lily to hear from the living room, where she sat on the couch with her phone glowing in her face. Mark laughed. It was a short, hollow sound that bounced off our new backsplash, the one we had picked out together at the home improvement store last spring, back when we still picked out things together. He said the binder was not old. He said it was the only copy of the quarterly logistics audit for the entire southwest region of Caldwell Transport. He said he needed it by 9 in the morning. I told him I was sorry. I was not sorry if the binder was not in the trash. It was in the linen closet, tucked behind the guest towels that nobody ever used. I had put it there 2 nights ago, after I found the sticky note on his desk. The note was small and yellow and stuck to his computer monitor. It said, "Call K. Final numbers." K was Kendra. I knew her name because he had mentioned her at dinner twice, once in passing and once with a smile that lasted a second too long. I had seen her at the company picnic last summer, a woman with red lipstick and a laugh that cut through the crowd like a siren. She had touched his arm when she thanked him for the barbecue. He had touched her back. It was a small thing, but I remembered it. Lily finally looked up from her phone. She was home from the state university for the weekend, a rare visit that I had been looking forward to for weeks. She had dark circles under her eyes and a tiredness that made her look older than 20. She asked if we could just have one normal dinner. Just one. She said it like a plea, not a question. I asked her if she knew what it felt like to be erased from your own life. She went quiet. Mark walked out of the kitchen, grabbed his keys from the hook by the door, and slammed the front door so hard that the photo of Lily's kindergarten graduation fell off the wall in the hallway. I heard his car start and pull away. The house felt colder. The only sound was the refrigerator humming and Lily's thumb scrolling through her screen. I did not eat dinner. I went to the closet and pulled the binder from behind the towels. It was thick and blue, with a Caldwell Transport logo embossed in silver. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened it to the last page. The numbers were dense, columns of figures that made my eyes cross. But I saw the bottom line. The profit margins for the second quarter were off by 11%. The projected revenue did not match the actual revenue. There was a note in the margin, written in Mark's handwriting, that said adjustment needed for bonus structure. I did not know what that meant, but I knew it was not an accident. Mark had been a senior manager for 12 years. He did not make mistakes with numbers. He was the man who balanced our checkbook to the penny every Sunday afternoon. My mother used to say that a marriage is like a house. You only notice the cracks when the roof starts to leak. She had said that to me the week before my wedding, while she helped me lace up my dress. I had smiled and told her our roof was strong. She had smiled back, but her eyes had been sad. She knew something I did not. Now, sitting on the bed with that binder in my lap, I felt the ceiling dripping. Lily appeared in the doorway. She asked me what I was doing. I said, "I was looking at your father's work papers." She asked why. I said, "Because I think he is hiding something." She sighed and leaned against the doorframe. She said, "Mom, you are always looking for something." She said, "Dad works hard. He is tired. He is stressed." She said, "You need to let it go." I asked her if she had met Kendra. She said she had not. She said she did not want to meet Kendra. I closed the binder and put it back in the closet. I told Lily to go to bed. She did not argue. She shuffled down the hall and closed her door. I sat in the dark and listened to the house settle. The pipes groaned. The wind rattled the window. I thought about the sticky note on Mark's desk. I thought about the red lipstick. I thought about the 11%. Mark came home at midnight. I was in the living room, pretending to watch a late-night talk show. He walked past me without a word and went straight to the study. I heard him open drawers, shuffle papers, curse under his breath. He came back out and asked me again about the binder. His voice was tighter now. He said it was urgent. He said he had a meeting with the regional director in the morning, and if he did not have those figures, he would look incompetent. I told him I had already said I threw it out. He stared at me. For a moment, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Fear. Not anger. Fear. He asked me why I would throw out a binder from his study. He said I never go in his study. I said I was looking for a pen. He did not believe me. I could see it in the way his jaw tightened. He turned and walked back to the study. I heard him call someone. His voice was low, urgent. I caught fragments. She might have seen it. I don't know. We need to be careful. He hung up and came back to the living room. He sat on the edge of the couch, a foot away from me. He smelled like beer and cologne. He said we needed to talk. I said I was tired. He said this was important. I said everything is important lately. He reached over and touched my hand. His fingers were cold. He said he had made a mistake at work. A minor error in reporting. He said he had corrected it, but the binder contained the preliminary draft and it would confuse the auditors. He said he needed to destroy it. I looked at his hand on mine. I said you do not destroy evidence. You correct it. He pulled his hand back. He said I did not understand corporate logistics. I said you were right. I do not. But I understand numbers. He stood up. He asked what I was implying. I said I was not implying anything. I was just tired. He stared at me for a long moment. Then he said fine. He went to the study and closed the door. I heard him on the phone again, whispering. I heard his voice break once, like he was pleading. I did not move. I sat on the couch until the clock on the wall struck 2 in the morning. Then I went to the bedroom and lay down on my side of the bed. He did not come in. I stared at the ceiling and counted the cracks in the plaster. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of coffee. Mark was in the kitchen, dressed in a fresh shirt, making toast. He acted like nothing had happened. He asked if I wanted eggs. I said no. He poured me a cup of coffee and set it on the table. He said he had found the binder. It was in his car the whole time. He must have left it there after his late meeting. He apologized for blaming me. I took the coffee and said nothing. He kissed the top of my head and left for work. The door clicked shut behind him. I sat at the table and felt the warmth of the cup in my hands. I did not believe him. The binder was not in his car. It was in the linen closet, where I had put it. He had not found it. He was lying. I knew it with a certainty that settled in my bones like cold water. Lily came downstairs an hour later. She asked where Dad was. I said he went to work. She sat across from me and ate a piece of toast in silence. Then she asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. She said I did not look fine. I asked her if she had ever lied to me. She paused. Then she said yes. She said all the time. Little things. Like saying she had finished her homework when she had not. Like saying she liked my cooking when she did not. She said everyone lies. I said, but some lies are bigger than others. She asked what I meant. I said nothing. I stood up and rinsed my cup in the sink. I told her I was going to run errands. She asked if she could come. I said no. I left her at the table with her toast and her phone and her secrets. I drove to the Caldwell transport office. I had not been there in 5 years, not since the company holiday party where I drank too much wine and told Mark's boss that his tie was ugly. The lobby looked different now. New furniture, new artwork on the walls. A young woman at the front desk with a headset and a practiced smile. I asked to see Mark. She said he was in a meeting. I asked to see Kendra. She paused. She said Miss Kendra was also in a meeting. I said I would wait. I sat in a leather chair and watched the elevators open and close. People walked past me in suits and blazers, carrying tablets and coffee cups. None of them looked at me. I was invisible. I was the wife who did not belong. 47 minutes later, Kendra came out of the elevator. She was tall and slim, with sharp cheekbones and that same red lipstick. She walked right past me, then stopped and turned. She smiled and said my name like we were old friends. She asked if I wanted to get coffee across the street. She said Mark was tied up, but she could spare a few minutes. I followed her to a small cafe. We sat at a table by the window. The sun was bright and made me squint. Kendra ordered a latte. I ordered a black coffee. She leaned back in her chair and asked what I wanted to talk about. I said I wanted to talk about the binder. She tilted her head. She asked what binder. I said the blue one. The audit report. The one with the 11% discrepancy. She did not flinch. She smiled wider. She said that binder was confidential. She was surprised Mark had even shown it to me. I said he did not show it to me. I found it. She paused. She put down her cup. She said that was unfortunate. She said the adjustment was her idea. Mark had just executed it. She said it was a temporary measure to protect the team from a corporate downsizing. She said he was a good man who made a bad choice. I asked her if she was sleeping with my husband. She laughed. It was the same laugh from the picnic, the loud one that cut through the air. She said I was projecting. She said maybe I should look closer to home for betrayal. I did not answer. I drank my coffee. It was bitter and burned my tongue. She checked her phone and said she had to go. She stood up and smoothed her blazer. She said she hoped I found what I was looking for. Then she walked out. I stayed at the table for a long time. I thought about her words. Look closer to home. I thought about Diane, my sister, who had called Mark charming at every family gathering. I thought about Lily, who never met my eyes when she talked about her father. I thought about the hotel receipt I had found in Mark's drawer last month. A downtown hotel, paid in cash, dated 3 weeks ago. I had not confronted him. I had shoved it back and pretended I had not seen it. Now I pulled out my phone and called the hotel. I gave them Mark's name. The receptionist confirmed a reservation. She also noted a second guest. She would not give me the name. She said privacy policy. I hung up. I drove home with my hands tied on the wheel. The house was empty. Lily had left a note saying she went to the library. I walked through every room, opening drawers, checking pockets. I found nothing. I sat on the bed and stared at the closet door. The binder was still there, hidden behind the towels. I pulled it out and flipped through the pages again. The numbers swam in front of my eyes. I did not understand the jargon, but I understood the pattern. The adjustments were all made in the last 3 months. The same 3 months Mark had started coming home late. The same 3 months he had stopped holding my hand in the car. I heard the front door open. Mark was home early. He called my name. I shoved the binder back in the closet and walked out to the living room. He looked tired. He said he had a headache. He said Kendra told him I came to the office. He asked what I wanted. I said I wanted the truth. He sat on the couch and put his head in his hands. He said the truth was complicated. He said he had been under a lot of pressure. He said the company was struggling, and he had tried to protect his department. He said he never meant to hurt me. I sat across from him. I asked if he had been to a hotel with someone. He looked up. His face went pale. He asked how I knew. I said I found the receipt. He said it was a business meeting. I asked why a business meeting required cash. He did not answer. He stood up and walked to the study. He closed the door. I heard him on the phone, whispering. I heard his voice crack. I sat on the couch and watched the clock. The minutes ticked by. The house was quiet. I felt cold all over. That night, he did not come to bed. I lay awake and stared at the ceiling. I counted the cracks again. There were 17. I had never noticed them before. I thought about my mother. I thought about her warning about the roof. I thought about the 11%. I thought about the red lipstick. I thought about the hotel. I closed my eyes and saw Mark's face, pale and scared. I realized I did not know him anymore. I did not know myself. I was just a woman in a house with a leaking ceiling and a binder full of secrets in a closet where nobody looked. I got up at 3 in the morning. I walked to the closet and took out the binder. I held it in my hands. I could feel the weight of it, the weight of everything I did not know. I put it back. I went to the kitchen and poured a glass of water. I sat in the dark and drank it. I did not cry. I just waited for the sun to come up. I knew that when it did, nothing would be the same. But I did not know yet that the worst was still ahead. I did not know about Diane. I did not know about the loan. I did not know that the cracks in my house ran all the way to the foundation. I only knew that I was tired and cold, and that the man I had married was a stranger sleeping on the couch in his study, whispering secrets to someone I had never met. The doorbell rang at 11 in the morning on Tuesday. I had just finished scrubbing the soy sauce stain from the kitchen grout for the 3rd time. It was still there, a faint brown shadow that no amount of bleach could erase. I opened the door and found my sister Diane standing on the porch, holding a glass casserole dish with a foil lid and a bottle of cheap red wine tucked under her arm. She wore her good coat, the one with the fake fur collar, and her hair was freshly curled. She looked like she was ready for a party. I was still in my bathrobe. She pushed past me and walked into the kitchen like she owned the place. She set the casserole on the counter and started opening cabinets, looking for a corkscrew. She asked if I had cleaned the grout already. She said I always cleaned when I was stressed. I asked her why she was here. She said Lily called her. Lily said things were tense. That I told Lily not to call anyone. Diane found the corkscrew in the drawer next to the stove. She twisted open the wine and poured 2 glasses without asking. She handed me one and said I looked terrible. She said I needed to eat something. She pulled the foil off the casserole, and I saw it was my mother's recipe, chicken and rice with cream of mushroom soup. The smell made my stomach turn. Diane asked if I had confronted Mark yet. I asked her what she knew. She said Lily told her about the binder, about the numbers, about the hotel receipt. I told her Lily did not know about the hotel receipt. Diane smiled. She said she had her sources. She said a sister knows when something is wrong. I took a sip of the wine. It was bitter and dry. I sat at the table and watched her move around my kitchen, rearranging my spice rack, wiping a smudge off the counter. She had always been like this, the fixer, the one who showed up with casseroles and opinions. When our father lost the house to his gambling debts, Diane was the one who found the lawyer. When our mother was sick, Diane was the one who took her to every appointment. I had always been the quiet one, the one who stayed in the background. Now she was here, in my house, telling me what to do. She sat across from me and leaned forward. She said I needed to confront Mark directly. She said I could not keep hiding the binder and pretending everything was normal. She reminded me of Dad. She said he had hidden his debts from Mom for years, and by the time the truth came out, there was nothing left. She said she did not want that to happen to me. I told her this was different. Mark was not Dad. He had not gambled away our savings. He had made a mistake at work. Diane laughed. She said a mistake at work did not involve hotel receipts and secret phone calls. She said I was in denial. I felt my face get hot. I told her she did not know everything. I told her she had not been in my house, in my marriage, for the past 12 years. I told her to leave the casserole and go home. She stood up. She looked hurt, but she did not leave. She walked to the living room and sat on the couch. She picked up a magazine and flipped through it. She said she was not leaving until we talked this through. She said that was what sisters did. I wanted to throw the wine glass at the wall. Instead, I sat on the other end of the couch and stared at the ceiling. Diane kept talking. She said Mark had always been secretive. She said she never trusted him, not fully. She said she remembered how he would disappear during family gatherings, take long phone calls outside, and come back with a smile that did not reach his eyes. She said I had been blind. I asked her if she had ever seen him with another woman. She paused. She said no. She said she did not need to see anything to know something was off. I told her that was not an answer. She put down the magazine. She said she was worried about me. She said I had lost weight. She said I was not sleeping. She said I was walking around like a ghost in my own house. I did not argue. She was right. I had lost 8 pounds. I had not slept through the night in a week. I felt hollow and thin, like a shell of myself. The front door opened at 5 in the evening. Mark came home early. He walked into the living room and stopped when he saw Diane. His face went from tired to tense in a second. He asked her what she was doing here. Diane smiled her bright smile. She said she came to check on her sister. She asked if that was a problem. Mark said no. But his voice was tight. He took off his coat and hung it on the back of the chair. He said he needed to talk to me privately. Diane said she was family. She said she could stay. Mark said she could not. Diane crossed her arms. She said she was not leaving until I told her what was going on. I looked at Mark. He looked at me. The air in the room was thick and heavy. I walked to the linen closet and pulled out the blue binder. I brought it to the living room and set it on the coffee table. I told both of them to sit down. Diane sat. Mark stood. He stared at the binder like it was a snake. I opened it to the last page. I pointed to the numbers. I asked Mark to explain. He did not answer. Diane leaned over and looked at the page. She asked what the numbers meant. I told her I did not know. I told her Mark had adjusted the profit margins by 11%, and he had not told anyone. Diane looked at Mark. She asked him if that was true. He nodded. He said it was a temporary fix. He said the corporate office was planning to downsize the Southwest region, and he had fudged the numbers to make his department look more profitable. He said he was trying to save jobs. He said he had done it with Kendra's help. I asked him whose job he was trying to save. He said his own. He said if the department was cut, he would be demoted or fired. He said he had a mortgage and a daughter in college and a wife who did not work. I felt the words hit me like a slap. Diane put her hand on my arm. She told Mark he had no right to blame me. Mark ignored her. He looked at me and said he was sorry. He said he had been scared. He said he had made a mistake. Diane asked if he was sleeping with Kendra. Mark turned red. He said no. He said Kendra was a colleague. He said she had come to him with the plan and he had agreed because he did not see another way. Diane asked if I believed him. I looked at him. His eyes were wet. He looked small and tired and afraid. I did not know if I believed him, but I did not know if I believed anyone anymore. I closed the binder. I told Mark to go to the study. He asked what I was going to do. I said I did not know. He walked away. The study door closed behind him. I heard the lock click. Diane pulled me close. She hugged me. She smelled like perfume and cigarette smoke, the same smell she had carried since high school. She said I was going to be okay. She said she would help me. She said I needed to call a lawyer. I pulled away. I told her I was not ready for that. She said I was not ready for anything. She said I had been married too long, and I had forgotten how to stand up for myself. I told her to stop. As she stood up, she grabbed her coat and her wine bottle. She said she was going home. She said I could call her when I wanted to be smart, that I did not walk her to the door. I sat on the couch and stared at the binder. The silence in the house was loud. Mark stayed in the study for hours. I heard him on the phone again, whispering. I heard his voice rise once, then drop to a murmur. I did not try to listen. I did not have the energy. I lay on the couch and stared at the ceiling. I counted the cracks. There were 17, the same as the night before. At 9 o'clock, he came out. He looked pale and drawn. He asked if we could talk. I said we already talked. He said we needed to talk more. He said he was scared. He said he did not know what was going to happen at work. He said if the corporate office found out about the adjustments, he could lose his job. He said he did not want to lose his job. He said he did not want to lose me. I asked him if he had been to the hotel with Diane. He froze. His face went white. He asked why I would ask that. I told him about the hotel receipt. I told him about the cash payment. I told him that Diane had always called him charming and that she had shown up unannounced with a casserole and a lot of questions. Mark sat down on the chair across from me. He rubbed his face with both hands. He said the hotel was not Diane. He said it was a business meeting with a client who preferred cash. He said he did not want to tell me because he knew I would be suspicious. I asked him why I should believe him. He said, because he was telling the truth. I laughed. It was a bitter laugh that surprised me. I said he had been lying to me for months, and now he expected me to trust him. He said he did not expect trust. He just asked for a chance. I told him I needed time. He nodded. He went to the couch and lay down. He pulled a blanket over himself and turned his back to me. I sat in the dark and watched him. He looked like a stranger. His shoulders were slumped. His hair was grayer than I remembered. I thought about our wedding day, how he had held my hand and promised to be honest. I thought about the house we had bought, the life we had built. I thought about the 11% and the red lipstick and the hotel. I went to the kitchen and poured the rest of Diane's wine down the sink. I rinsed the glass and put it in the dishwasher. I walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. The cracks were there, but I could not see them in the dark. I felt the weight of the house, the weight of the secrets, the weight of the years. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but I kept hearing Diane's voice, telling me to be smart. I kept seeing Mark's face, pale and afraid. I kept wondering who he had met at that hotel. In the morning, I found him in the kitchen. He had made coffee and toast. He asked if I wanted eggs. I said no. He sat across from me and said he was sorry again. I told him I heard him. He said he meant it. I said I knew. He reached across the table and touched my hand. His fingers were warm this time. He said he would do whatever it took to fix things. He said he would go to counseling. He said he would be more honest. He said he loved me. I looked at his hand on mine. I did not pull away, but I did not hold on either. I told him I needed to think. He nodded. He let go. He went to the study, and I heard him on the phone again. This time his voice was calm. I thought about the binder on the coffee table. I thought about Diane's casserole in the fridge. I thought about the hotel receipt in my coat pocket. I thought about the 11% and the red lipstick and the whisper in the dark. I did not have answers. I only had questions, and I knew that if I was going to find the truth, I would have to dig deeper. I would have to look at everyone. My husband, my sister, my daughter, even myself. I did not know what I would find, but I knew I could not stop looking. Not now. Not ever. I went back to the Caldwell transport office on Thursday. This time I did not wait in the lobby. I walked past the receptionist and took the elevator to the 3rd floor. I knew the layout from the old holiday parties, back when I was still invited to things. The carpet was the same gray weave, worn thin near the water cooler. The cubicles were the same beige fabric walls. But the people were younger, stranger. They looked at me like I was lost. I found Mark's office. The door was open, but he was not there. His desk was clean except for a laptop and a coffee mug that said, "World's Okayest Manager." I had given him that mug 3 years ago as a joke. Now it looked like a relic from another life. A young man in a blue tie walked past and asked if I needed help. I said I was looking for Kendra. He pointed to the end of the hall. He said she was in a meeting but should be out soon. I thanked him and walked to the end of the hall. There was a small waiting area with 2 chairs and a fake plant. I sat down and waited. The meeting room had glass walls. I could see Kendra inside, sitting at a long table with 3 other people. She was talking and gesturing with her hands. She looked confident, polished, untouchable. I watched her for 47 minutes. I counted them on my watch. I did not look away. When the meeting ended, the other people filed out. Kendra saw me through the glass. Her smile flickered, then returned. She walked out and asked if I wanted to get coffee again. I said yes, that we went to the same cafe across the street. This time she ordered a black coffee, and I ordered a tea. She sat across from me and folded her hands on the table. She said she was surprised to see me again. She asked if I had found what I was looking for. I said no as she tilted her head. She said Mark was a good man. She said he had made a mistake, but he was not a criminal. She said the adjustment was her idea, not his. She said she had come to him with the plan, and he had been reluctant. She said she had convinced him it was the only way to protect the team. I asked her why she was telling me this. She said she wanted me to understand. She said Mark was not the villain I thought he was. She said the company was in trouble. The Southwest region was bleeding money. The corporate office was planning to cut 30% of the staff. She and Mark had tried to shield their department by inflating the numbers. It was wrong. She knew it was wrong. But it was done out of desperation, not greed. I asked her if she was sleeping with him. She laughed. It was the same laugh, loud and sharp. She said I was obsessed with that question. I said I just wanted the truth. She leaned forward. She said the truth was that I was looking for someone to blame. She said I was scared and angry, and I wanted to point a finger. She said she understood that. She said she would probably feel the same way if she were in my shoes. But she said I was pointing at the wrong person. I asked her what she meant. She said, maybe I should look closer to home. She said it again. The same words from our first conversation. She said families were complicated. She said people did things for reasons that were not always clear. She said I should talk to my sister. I felt my stomach tighten. I asked her what she knew about my sister. She said she knew Diane had called Mark several times in the past month. She knew Diane had come to the office once, asking to see him. She knew they had met for coffee. She said she did not know what they talked about. But she said it seemed important. I told her Diane was my sister. She had a right to see Mark. Kendra nodded. She said of course. She said she was just telling me what she had seen. She said she did not want to cause trouble. She said she was just trying to help. I did not believe her. But I did not have a reason to doubt her either. I left the cafe and walked to my car. I sat in the driver's seat for a long time. I thought about Diane. I thought about her casserole and her wine and her insistence that I confront Mark. I thought about how she had looked at him on the couch, her eyes sharp and searching. I thought about how she had told me to call a lawyer, not to forgive him. I wondered if she had been trying to protect me or herself. I drove to Diane's apartment. She lived in a small complex on the west side of town, near the old train station. Her unit was on the second floor, above a laundromat. I climbed the stairs and knocked on her door. She opened it in her bathrobe, her hair wet. She looked surprised to see me. She asked what I was doing there. I said I wanted to talk. She let me in. Her apartment was cluttered with baking supplies, flour sacks, and mixing bowls stacked on every surface. She had a small kitchen table covered in receipts and order forms. She pushed some papers aside and offered me a chair. She asked if something had happened. I asked her why she had been to see Mark at his office. She froze. Her face went pale. She asked how I knew about that. I said Kendra told me. She cursed under her breath. She said Kendra was a snake. She said Kendra was trying to cause trouble between us. I asked her again why she had gone to see Mark. She sat down across from me. She looked at her hands. She said she needed money. She said her bakery was failing. She had been trying to keep it afloat for 2 years, but the bills were piling up. She had gone to Mark to ask for a loan. She said she knew he had access to a small business fund through Caldwell Transport. She said she asked him to help her. I asked him if he gave her the money. She shook her head. She said he said no. He said he could not use company funds for personal loans. But he offered to lend her money from our savings. She said she had refused at first. She said she was ashamed. But then the bank threatened to seize her equipment, and she became desperate. She called him again. They met at a coffee shop. He agreed to give her $5,000, cash, no interest. He said he would not tell me because he did not want me to worry. I felt my chest tighten. I asked her when this happened. She said 3 weeks ago. I thought about the hotel receipt. I thought about the cash payment. I asked her if they had met at a hotel. She looked confused. She said no. She said they met at the coffee shop near the train station. She said she had never met him at a hotel. I did not know if I believed her. I asked her why she had not told me. She said she was embarrassed. She said I had always been the one with the stable marriage and the nice house and the husband who did not gamble away our money. She said she did not want me to see her as a failure. I felt a wave of anger. I told her she had lied to me. She had pretended to be helping me when she was really hiding her own secrets. She had made me doubt my husband and my marriage. She had made me feel crazy that she started to cry. She said she was sorry. She said she did not mean to hurt me. She said she was just desperate that I stood up. I told her I needed to go. She grabbed my hand. She begged me to stay. She said she would tell me everything. She said she would give me the loan agreement Mark had drawn up. She said she would prove she was not lying. I pulled my hand away. I said I would think about it. I walked out and closed the door behind me. I heard her crying through the wood. I walked down the stairs and got in my car. I sat in the parking lot and stared at the laundromat. The dryers were spinning. Clothes tumbled in circles. I felt like I was tumbling too. In a machine I could not control. I drove home. The house was empty. Mark was still at work. Lily was at school. I walked through the rooms and looked at everything. The photos on the wall. The furniture we had picked out together. The dishes in the sink. It all looked the same, but it felt different. Everything felt heavy and fragile, like a glass that might shatter at any moment. I went to the bedroom and opened Mark's dresser drawer. I found the hotel receipt again. It was still there, folded and tucked under his socks. I unfolded it and looked at the date. 3 weeks ago. The same week Diane said they had met at the coffee shop. The same week Mark had come home late and said he was tired. I did not know what to believe. Diane said she met him at a coffee shop. The receipt said hotel. Cash payment. No name for the second guest. I thought about calling the hotel again. I thought about asking for a manager. But I knew they would not tell me anything. I put the receipt back in the drawer. I closed it. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the closet. The blue binder was still there, behind the guest towels. I did not take it out. I just looked at it. Mark came home at 7. He looked tired. He asked if I had eaten. I said no. He offered to make dinner. I said okay. He went to the kitchen and started boiling water for pasta. I watched him from the doorway. He moved slowly, methodically. He was a man who did things in order. He measured the pasta, salted the water, set the timer. He was not a man who made mistakes. But he had made one. Maybe more than one. I sat at the table. He brought me a plate of pasta with canned sauce. He sat across from me and ate without speaking. The silence was thick and uncomfortable. I broke it. I asked him about the loan. He paused. His fork hovered in the air. He asked what loan. I said the loan to Diane. The $5,000. He set his fork down. He asked how I knew. I said Diane told me. He rubbed his face. He said he was sorry. He said he should have told me. He said he was trying to help her. He said he knew I would worry if I knew she was in trouble. I asked him why he did not tell me. He said he did not want to add to my stress. He said he knew I was already upset about the binder. He said he thought he could handle it alone. I asked him if he had met her at a hotel. He looked shocked. He said no. He said they met at a coffee shop. I took the receipt out of my pocket and put it on the table. I asked him to explain it. He stared at the receipt. His face went white. He said he did not know what that was. He said he had never seen it before. I told him I found it in his drawer. He picked it up and looked at it closely. Then he said it was not his. He said he had never stayed at that hotel. He said someone must have put it there. I laughed. I told him that was the worst lie I had ever heard. He stood up. He said he was telling the truth. He said he did not know how that receipt got into his drawer. He said maybe Diane had put it there to frame him. He said maybe she was trying to make me doubt him. I told him he was paranoid. He said I was naive. We stared at each other across the table. The pasta was getting cold. I did not touch it. He sat back down and put his head in his hands. He said he did not know what to do. He said he felt like he was losing everything. I felt a pang of pity, but I also felt anger. I did not know what to believe. I did not know who to trust. I only knew that my life had become a puzzle with missing pieces, and I was not sure I wanted to solve it. I left the table. I went to the bedroom and closed the door. I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. The cracks were still there. 17 of them. I counted them again. I thought about Diane crying in her apartment. I thought about Mark pleading in the kitchen. I thought about Kendra smiling in the cafe. I thought about the hotel receipt and the blue binder and the 11%. I closed my eyes. I did not sleep. I waited. I did not know what I was waiting for. A confession. A miracle. An answer. But nothing came. The house was quiet. The night was long. And I was alone in the dark, holding a piece of paper that had no name and no explanation. Lily came home on Saturday without calling first. I heard her key in the lock at 8 in the morning. I was still in my robe, standing at the kitchen counter, staring at the cold coffee I had poured an hour ago. She walked in with her duffel bag over her shoulder and her phone in her hand. She looked at me and asked why I was not dressed. I told her I did not have anywhere to go. She dropped her bag by the door and walked to the living room. She stopped when she saw the living room. I had not cleaned in 3 days. There were coffee cups on the end tables, newspapers spread across the couch, and the blue binder sitting open on the coffee table. I had been looking through it again, trying to understand the numbers, trying to find something I had missed. I had not found anything. Lily asked me what happened to the house. I told her nothing happened. I just had not gotten around to cleaning. She picked up a cup and carried it to the kitchen. She started rinsing dishes and putting them in the dishwasher. She moved like she was angry, slamming the dishwasher door, scrubbing the counter too hard. I watched her from the doorway. She was a young woman with her mother's face and her father's stubbornness. She had inherited the best and worst of both of us. I asked her why she came home. She said she needed a break from campus. She said her roommate was driving her crazy. She said she wanted to see me. I knew she was lying. Lily only came home when something was wrong. She had done it since she was a child. The first time she came home early from a sleepover was when a girl had been mean to her. The first time she came home early from a school trip was when she had gotten sick. She never said what was wrong. She just showed up and waited for someone to ask. I did not ask. I was too tired. She finished cleaning the kitchen and came to the living room. She sat on the couch, next to the binder. She picked it up and flipped through the pages. She asked if this was the binder Dad was looking for. I said yes. She asked what was inside. I told her the truth. I told her Mark had adjusted the numbers to protect his department. I told him he might lose his job. I told him he was being investigated. She closed the binder and set it down. She said that was stupid. She said Dad was not stupid. I said people did stupid things when they were scared. She looked at me. She had the same sharp look as Diane. She asked if I was going to leave him. I told her I did not know. She sighed. She said she did not want to be in the middle of this. She said she had her own life, her own problems. She said she was trying to graduate and find a job and figure out who she was. She said she could not handle the weight of our marriage. I told her I was not asking her to handle it. She said I was asking just by staying here. She said I was asking by not leaving. She said every time I sat in this house and waited, I was asking her to watch. I felt a flash of anger. I told her she had no idea what I was going through. I told her she had never been married. She had never had to decide whether to stay with someone who had lied to her. She stood up. She said she knew more than I thought. She said she was not a child anymore. I asked her what that meant. She sat back down. She put her phone face down on the table. She said she had seen Dad's car at the downtown hotel. She had been there for a study group at the university nearby. She had seen his car in the lot, parked in the corner. She did not see him. She did not see who he was with. But she saw the car. I asked her when this happened. She said 3 weeks ago. The same week as the receipt. The same week as Diane's loan. I felt the room spin. I asked her why she had not told me. She said she did not want to blow up the family. She said she thought maybe it was a business meeting. She said she told herself it was nothing. But then she heard me talking about the hotel receipt, and she knew it was not nothing. I asked her if she had told anyone else. She shook her head. She said she had not even told her roommate. I sat next to her. I felt the space between us shrink and grow at the same time. She was my daughter. She was supposed to be the one I protected, but she had been carrying a secret for 3 weeks, a secret about her father, and she had not told me. I did not know if I was angry or proud or heartbroken. I asked her if she believed he was having an affair. She said she did not know. She said she did not want to believe it. She said she had always thought Dad was the steady one, the reliable one, the one who did not make stupid mistakes. I said everyone made stupid mistakes. She asked if I was defending him. I said I was not defending anyone. I was just trying to understand. She stood up again. She said she needed air. She walked to the back door and stepped outside into the yard. I watched her through the window. She sat on the old wooden bench we had bought when she was 5. She hugged her knees and stared at the sky. She looked like a little girl again, but she was not little. She was a woman with secrets and burdens and a life I knew less and less about. I went outside and sat next to her. We did not speak for a long time. The birds were loud. The neighbor's dog was barking. The sun was warm on my face. It felt strange to feel warmth after so many cold days indoors. I asked her if she was okay. She said she was fine. I told her she was not fine. I told her I was her mother. I could tell when she was lying if she laughed. It was a sad laugh, like Diane's. She said I had never been good at telling when people were lying. She said I had always trusted too much. I did not argue. She was right that we sat in silence until I heard Mark's car pull into the driveway. He came around the side of the house and stopped when he saw us. His face went through a series of expressions. Surprise, confusion, worry. He asked Lily when she got home that she said this morning. He asked why she had not called. She said she wanted to surprise us. He smiled. It was a tired smile, the smile of a man who was trying too hard. He said he was glad she was home. He said he would make dinner. He asked what we wanted. Lily said she was not hungry. Mark looked at me. I shrugged. I did not have anything to say. He went inside. I heard him opening the refrigerator, pulling out vegetables, setting pots on the stove. He was trying to be normal. He was trying to pretend that nothing was wrong. I felt a strange mix of pity and resentment. He was good at pretending. He had always been good at it. Lily stood up. She said she was going to her room. She said she needed to unpack. She walked inside without looking back. I stayed on the bench. I watched the sun climb higher and the shadows shrink. The day was moving forward. I was standing still. That evening, we had dinner together. Mark made spaghetti and meatballs, the recipe he had learned from his mother. He set the table with the good plates. He poured water and opened a bottle of wine. He asked Lily about her classes. She gave short answers. He asked about her friends. She said they were fine. He asked about her plans for the summer. She said she did not know. I watched the three of us sitting at the table. We looked like a family, but we were actors in a play, saying lines that did not mean anything. The real script was hidden, buried under the blue binder and the hotel receipt and the 11%. After dinner, Mark cleared the table. Lily went to her room. I sat in the living room and stared at the television. I did not turn it on. I just stared at the black screen. Mark came in and sat on the chair across from me. He asked if we could talk. I said we were already talking. He said he wanted to apologize again. He said he had been thinking about everything he had done wrong. He said he should have told me about the loan to Diane. He should have told me about the adjustments. He should have been honest from the beginning. I asked him if he should have told me about the hotel. He went quiet. He said he did not go to a hotel. He said he did not know how the receipt got in his drawer. He said someone was trying to frame him. I asked him, who? He said Diane. He said Diane had access to his office. She had been there once. She could have planted the receipt. I told him that was crazy. I told him Diane was my sister. She would not do that. He said he did not know what she would do. He said she was desperate. Desperate people did desperate things. I stood up. I told him I was going to bed. I walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I lay down and stared at the ceiling. I did not count the cracks. I just stared. In the middle of the night, I heard Lily's door open. I heard her footsteps in the hall. She came to the bedroom door and knocked softly. I told her to come in. She sat on the edge of the bed. She said she could not sleep. I said neither could I. She asked if I thought Dad was lying. I said I did not know. She said she had been thinking. She said maybe we should all go to counseling. She said maybe a professional could help us sort through everything. I told her that was a good idea. She reached over and took my hand. She said she was scared. She said she did not want our family to fall apart. I told her I was scared too. She squeezed my hand. She said she loved me. She said no matter what happened, she would always love me. I felt tears prick my eyes. I had not cried in weeks. I had been holding everything inside, building walls around my feelings. But her words broke through. I hugged her. She felt small in my arms, but she was not small. She was strong. She was tougher than me. She left my room and went back to hers. I lay in the dark and felt the tears run down my cheeks. I did not wipe them away. I let them fall. I thought about the hotel. I thought about Diane. I thought about Kendra. I thought about the blue binder and the 11% and the whispering on the phone. I thought about Lily, carrying her secret for 3 weeks. I thought about Mark, trying to make spaghetti and pretend everything was fine. I did not have answers. But I had something else. I had a daughter who loved me. I had a sister who had asked for forgiveness. I had a husband who was still here, even if I did not trust him. I did not know if that was enough. But for that night, it was all I had. I closed my eyes and let the tears stop. I breathed in and out. I waited for morning. And when the sun came up, I got out of bed and walked to the kitchen. I made coffee. I sat at the table. I waited for the next piece of the puzzle to fall. The news broke on a Wednesday. I was in the grocery store, picking up milk and bread, when I saw the television mounted above the checkout aisle. The local news anchor was talking about an internal audit at Caldwell Transport. She said irregularities had been found in the Southwest regional accounts. She said 2 employees had been placed on administrative leave pending further investigation. The screen showed a photo of the corporate headquarters. Then it showed a photo of Kendra. The anchor said her name and listed her title. She did not show a photo of Mark, but I knew he was the other employee. I left my cart in the middle of the aisle. I walked out of the store without paying. I drove home with my hands shaking on the wheel. The house was empty. Mark had left for work that morning like any other day. He had kissed my forehead and said he would be home by 6. He had not mentioned the investigation. I called his phone. It went straight to voicemail. I called the office. The receptionist said he was not available. I called Diane. She did not answer. I sat on the couch and stared at the blue binder. I had memorized every page by now. The numbers were burned into my brain. I knew the adjustments were wrong, but I had not known they would lead to this. I had not known they would make the news. Mark came home at 2 in the afternoon. He walked in with his briefcase and his coat. He looked pale and exhausted. He did not say hello. He went to the study and closed the door. I heard him on the phone, talking in a low voice. Then I heard him hang up and sit in silence. I knocked on the door. He said to come in. I opened the door and found him sitting at his desk, staring at the wall. He did not look at me. He asked if I had seen the news. I said I had. He said Kendra was fired. He said she had taken full responsibility for the adjustments. He said she told the investigators that she had acted alone. I asked if that was true. He shook his head. He said it was not true. He said she was covering for him. He said she had offered to take the blame to protect his career. He said she told him she would be fine. She had connections, she said. She would find another job. I asked him why she would do that. He said she was loyal. He said she was a good person. I felt a strange twist in my stomach. I asked him if he was sleeping with her. He turned to look at me. His eyes were red and tired. He said no. He said he had never been unfaithful. He said Kendra was his friend and his colleague. She was not his lover. I asked him why I should believe him. He said because he was telling the truth. He said he had lied about the numbers. He had lied about Diane's loan. But he had never lied about other women. I wanted to believe him. But I had been fooled before. I walked out of the study and went to the kitchen. I poured a glass of water and drank it slowly. I heard Mark come out of the study. He went to the living room and sat on the couch. He stared at the blank television. Lily came home that evening. She had seen the news on her phone. She walked in and asked if Dad was okay. I said he was in the living room. She went to him. I heard her ask if he was all right. I heard him say he did not know. I heard her sit down next to him. I stayed in the kitchen. I did not want to be in the room with them. I felt like an outsider in my own family. Diane called me that night. She said she had heard about the investigation. She asked if Mark was going to be arrested. I said I did not think so. She asked if I was going to leave him. I said I did not know. She said she was sorry. She said she had been so focused on her own problems that she had not been there for me. She said she wanted to help. I told her I did not need help. I needed the truth. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said she had not told me everything. She said Mark had not just given her a loan. He had also helped her negotiate with her landlord. He had made calls on her behalf. He had spent hours trying to save her bakery. She said he had done all of it without asking for anything in return. I asked her why she was telling me this. She said, because she wanted me to know that he was not a bad man. She said he had made mistakes, but he had also been kind. She said she owed him a debt of gratitude. I did not know what to do with that information. It did not make the lies go away, but it made them harder to hate. The next morning, Mark woke up early. He made coffee and toast. He sat at the table and waited for me to come out. I walked into the kitchen and saw him sitting there, looking small and tired. He asked if we could talk. I sat down across from him. He said he had been suspended without pay. He said the investigation would take weeks. He said he might lose his job. He said he did not know what he was going to do. I asked him what he wanted me to do. He said he wanted me to stay. He said he wanted to fix things. He said he wanted to go to counseling. He said he wanted to be a better husband. I asked him if he had been to the hotel with anyone. He said no. He said he had not been to that hotel. He said he did not know how the receipt got into his drawer. He said he was telling the truth. I looked at him. His face was open and earnest. He looked like the man I had married. But I remembered the other face, the one that had whispered on the phone in the dark. I did not know which one was real. I told him I needed time. He nodded. He stood up and walked to the study. I heard him close the door. I heard him sit down in his chair. I heard him breathe. I spent the rest of the day cleaning the house. I scrubbed the kitchen floor. I washed the windows. I vacuumed the carpets. I did not think about the binder or the hotel or the numbers. I just moved my body and let my mind go blank. Lily left for campus that afternoon. She hugged me before she left. She said she would call every night. She said she loved me. I said I loved her too. I watched her car drive away and felt the house get emptier. Diane came over that evening. She brought a pizza. She sat with me in the living room and we ate in silence. She did not mention Mark. She did not mention the investigation. She just sat with me and ate. After dinner, she asked if I was okay. I said I was surviving. She said that was not the same thing. I knew she was right. We sat on the couch and watched a movie. It was a romantic comedy, something light and silly. I did not laugh. Diane did not laugh either. But we watched it to the end. When it was over, she stood up and said she was going home. She hugged me and told me to call her if I needed anything. I walked her to the door. I watched her drive away. The house was quiet. I walked to the study and knocked on the door. Mark opened it. He asked if I wanted to come in. I said no. I just wanted to tell him that I was going to bed. He nodded. He said good night. I went to the bedroom and lay down. I stared at the ceiling. I counted the cracks. I fell asleep before I reached 17. In the morning, I woke up to the sound of Mark's voice. He was on the phone in the living room. He was speaking in a low, urgent tone. I crept to the door and listened. He was talking to his lawyer. He was asking about the investigation. He was asking what would happen if he admitted to the adjustments. The lawyer said something I could not hear. Mark said he understood. He hung up. I walked into the living room. He looked up at me. He said his lawyer had advised him to cooperate fully. He said he might have to testify against Kendra. He said he did not want to do that. But he said he had no choice. I asked him what he was going to do. He said he was going to tell the truth. All of it. I asked him if that included the hotel. He looked at me. He said yes. He said he would tell them everything. He said he was done lying. I did not know if I believed him. But I knew he was scared. I knew he was trying. I sat on the couch next to him. I took his hand. It was cold and clammy. I held it anyway. He looked at me with surprise. I told him I was not leaving. Not yet. I said I needed to see what he would do. I said I needed to see if he could earn back my trust. He nodded. He squeezed my hand. He said he would try. He said he would spend the rest of his life trying. I did not say anything. I just sat there, holding his hand, staring at the wall. I thought about the years ahead. I thought about the cracks in the ceiling and the stains on the floor. I thought about the blue binder and the hotel receipt and the 11%. I thought about Lily and Diane and Kendra. I did not have a plan. I did not have an answer. I only had a choice. And I had made it. For now, I was staying. For now, I was waiting. For now, that was enough. I drove to Diane's bakery on a gray Thursday morning. The sky was low and heavy, and the air smelled like rain. I had not called ahead. I did not want to give her time to prepare. I wanted to see her the way she really was, not the way she pretended to be when she knew I was coming. The bakery was on the edge of town, in a strip mall between a laundromat and a dollar store. The paint was chipped and faded, and the sign above the door had a missing letter. It said, Ian's Bakery instead of Diane's. She had never fixed it. She said it gave the place character. I parked my car and walked to the door. The bell above it chimed as I entered. The smell hit me first, the familiar scent of flour and sugar and burnt butter. The display case was half empty. A few sad-looking muffins sat on a tray. The coffee urn was cold. The shop looked tired, just like Diane. She was behind the counter, kneading dough on a floured surface. Her hands moved in slow, practiced circles. She did not look up. She said she would be with me in a minute. I told her it was me. She stopped. Her face went pale. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked around the counter. She asked what I was doing there. I said I came to talk. She nodded. She pulled out a chair at the small table by the window. She gestured for me to sit. I sat. She sat across from me. Her hands were shaking slightly. She clasped them together and put them on the table. I asked her why she had not told me about the loan from Mark. She said she was ashamed. I asked her why she had met him in secret. She said she did not want me to know she was failing. She said she had always been the successful one, the one who had her own business, the one who did not need help. She said admitting she needed money felt like admitting she was a failure. I asked her if she had ever been to a hotel with him. Her eyes went wide. She said no. She said she had never been to a hotel with Mark. She said she had never been anywhere with him except the coffee shop and the bakery office. She said she had never touched him. She said she had never wanted to. I asked her if she loved him. She laughed. It was a bitter laugh, not like Kendra's. She said she loved him as a brother-in-law. She said she was grateful to him. She said she was not in love with him. I looked at her hands. They were red and chapped from the flour and the water. She had worked hard her whole life. She had built this bakery from nothing. She had poured her savings into it. She had sacrificed everything for it. And now it was falling apart. I asked her if she was going to lose the bakery. She nodded. She said she had already talked to the bank. They were going to seize the equipment next week. She said she had tried everything. She had borrowed from friends. She had sold her jewelry. She had even asked Dad's old gambling buddies for help. No one had given her a dime. Mark was the only one who had said yes. I felt a pang of sadness. Diane had always been the strong one, the one who took care of everyone else. She had never asked for help. She had never admitted she was weak. And now she was sitting across from me, defeated and broken. I asked her why she had not told me sooner. She said she did not want to worry me. She said I had enough problems with Mark and the investigation and Lily. She said she did not want to add to my burden. I told her she was my sister. Her problems were my problems. She started to cry. Tears ran down her cheeks and dripped onto the table. She wiped them away with the back of her hand. She said she was sorry. She said she had been a terrible sister. She said she had been so focused on saving herself that she had forgotten to help me. I reached across the table and took her hand. It was cold and rough. I told her she was not a terrible sister. I told her she had been there for me when I needed her. I told her she had brought me casseroles and wine and advice. Even when I did not want it, she laughed through her tears. She said she had always been pushy. I said that was true. But it was also what I loved about her. We sat in silence for a long time. The rain started to fall outside, tapping against the window. The shop was quiet. No customers came. The bell above the door stayed silent. I asked her what she was going to do now. She said she did not know. She said she might sell the equipment and declare bankruptcy. She said she might move to a smaller apartment. She said she might start over. I told her she could stay with me. She looked surprised. She asked if Mark would be okay with that. I said Mark did not have a say. I said it was my house too. She smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. She said thank you. I stood up. I told her I had to go. I had to pick up some things from the store. I told her to call me if she needed anything. She walked me to the door. She hugged me. Her body was thin and fragile. I could feel her ribs through her apron. She smelled like flour and yeast. I hugged her back and held on for a long time. I drove home through the rain. The wipers moved back and forth, clearing the water from the windshield. I thought about Diane. I thought about her bakery and her debts and her shame. I thought about how she had carried all of it alone. I thought about how Mark had helped her without telling me. I thought about how I had been so focused on my own pain that I had not seen hers. I pulled into the driveway. The house was dark. Mark was at work, still suspended, but going in to clean out his desk. Lily was at campus. I was alone. I walked inside and sat on the couch. I stared at the blue binder, still open on the coffee table. I closed it. I put it on the shelf. I did not want to look at it anymore. That evening, Mark came home. He looked tired and defeated. He said he had cleared out his office. He said he had turned in his badge and his laptop. He said he was officially on unpaid leave. He said he did not know if he would ever go back. I told him about Diane. I told him I had gone to see her. I told her the bakery was closing. He nodded. He said he knew. He said she had called him last week to tell him. He said he had offered to lend her more money, but she had refused. He said she did not want to owe anyone else. I asked him why he had helped her. He said, because she was family. I asked him if he had ever been to a hotel with her. He said no. He said he had never been to a hotel with anyone. He said he had been a faithful husband for 25 years. I asked him if that was the truth. He looked me in the eye. He said yes. I did not know if I believed him, but I wanted to. I wanted to believe him more than anything. We sat on the couch and talked for hours. We talked about the early years, when we were young and in love. We talked about the day we bought the house. We talked about the day Lily was born. We talked about all the things we had done right. We talked about all the things we had done wrong. He admitted he had been distant. He said he had been so focused on work that he had forgotten about us. He said he had been scared of losing his job, scared of failing, scared of being a disappointment. He said he had pushed me away because he did not know how to ask for help. I admitted I had been resentful. I said I had felt invisible. I said I had stopped trying because I thought he did not care. I said I had let the distance grow because I was too proud to close it. We both cried. It was ugly and raw and messy, but it was real. He took my hand. He asked if I could forgive him. I told him I could try to. He said that was enough. We went to bed that night and held each other. It was the first time we had touched like that in months. I felt his heart beating against my chest. I felt his breath on my neck. I felt the warmth of his body. It felt familiar and foreign at the same time. I fell asleep in his arms. I did not dream. I did not count the cracks. I just slept that the next morning. I woke up and he was still there. He was watching me sleep. He smiled when I opened my eyes. He asked if I wanted breakfast. I said yes, that we made pancakes together. We stood side by side at the stove, flipping batter and laughing at the ones that burned. We ate at the table and talked about small things. The weather, the neighbors, the new grocery store that had opened on the corner. That it felt normal. It felt like the old days. I knew it was just one morning. I knew there were still secrets and lies and wounds that had not healed. But for that moment, I was grateful. I thought about Diane. I thought about her bakery and her tears. I thought about the loan and the hotel and the blue binder. I thought about Kendra and the investigation and the future that I did not have answers. But I had a sister who loved me. I had a husband who was trying. I had a daughter who called every night. That I looked at Mark across the table. I looked at his tired face and his graying hair. I looked at the hands that had held mine for 25 years. I looked at the man I had married. I did not know if we would make it, but I knew we would try. And for now, that was enough. The investigation at Caldwell Transport concluded on a Tuesday in late spring. Mark came home that afternoon with a letter in his hand. He sat me down at the kitchen table and opened it slowly, like he was afraid of what was inside. I watched his face as he read it. His expression went from tense to relieved to something in between. He handed me the letter and told me to read it myself. The letter said the investigation had found no evidence of intentional fraud. The adjustments were deemed errors in judgment, not criminal acts. Mark was cleared of any wrongdoing, but he was demoted to a regional coordinator position. He would lose his corner office, his senior title, and half his salary. He would report to a new manager who was 10 years younger than him. He would start on the 1st of the month. I set the letter down. I asked him how he felt. He said he felt like he had been given a second chance he did not deserve. That I told him he deserved it. He shook his head. He said he had made too many mistakes. He said he had lied to me, to his colleagues, to himself. He said he had been lucky to keep his job at all. I took his hand. I told him that was the past. I told him we were looking forward now. That he squeezed my hand and smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. The next few weeks were hard. Mark left early every morning and came home late. He was learning a new role, a new team, a new way of working. He was no longer the boss. He was just another employee. I could see the strain on his face, but he did not complain. He came home, made dinner, and sat with me on the couch. He asked about my day. He listened. He tried. Lily graduated in June. We drove to the campus together, Mark and I, sitting in the car in a comfortable silence. The ceremony was held outdoors on the lawn. The sun was hot, and the speeches were long, but I did not mind. I watched Lily walk across the stage in her cap and gown and felt a swell of pride. She had made it. She had done what I had never done. She had finished college. After the ceremony, we found her in the crowd. She hugged me first, then her father. She introduced us to her friends. She showed us her dorm room, now bare and empty. She said she was moving to the city next week. She had found a job at a marketing firm. She said she was excited and scared. I told her I was proud of her. She said she was proud of us. She said she was proud that we had made it through. I hugged her again and did not let go. Diane sold her bakery. The equipment went to a young couple who were opening a food truck. The lease was terminated. The sign came down. She moved into a small apartment across town, a one-bedroom with a view of the train tracks. She called me after she unpacked. She said it was not much, but it was hers. She said she was going to take some time off and figure out what she wanted to do next. I went to visit her on a Saturday. Her apartment was small and clean. She had arranged her furniture neatly. She had hung a few photos on the wall. She offered me tea. We sat on her couch and talked about nothing and everything. She asked how Mark was doing. I said he was doing better. She said she was glad. I asked if she needed anything. She said she needed time. I nodded. I understood. We sat in silence for a while. Then she said she was sorry again. She said she had been a bad sister. She said she had put her own problems ahead of mine. She said she had lied and hidden things and made everything worse. I told her I forgave her. She cried. I held her. We finished our tea and I drove home. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink. I thought about Diane and Lily and Mark. I thought about the blue binder and the hotel receipt and the 11%. I thought about all the things that had broken and all the things that had been fixed. Mark and I started seeing a counselor. Her name was Dr. Chun. She had a small office with a comfortable couch and a box of tissues on the table. She asked us questions about our marriage, our history, our hopes. She listened without judgment. She gave us exercises to do. She told us to talk to each other, really talk, not just about the bills and the chores, but about the things we felt. It was awkward at first. We had been silent for so long that we had forgotten how to speak. But we tried. We sat in the living room every evening and talked for 15 minutes. We talked about our childhoods. We talked about our fears. We talked about the things we needed from each other. Slowly, the walls came down. Slowly, the trust came back. One night, I asked Mark about the hotel receipt again. I told him I needed to know the truth. I told him I could not move forward without it. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said he would tell me everything. He said the receipt was not his. He said he had never been to that hotel. But he had found out who had. It was Diane. She had stayed there with a client, a man she was trying to convince to invest in her bakery. She had paid in cash to keep it secret. She had used Mark's name as a reference, and the hotel had mistakenly put the receipt in his file. He said he had confronted her about it. She had begged him not to tell me. She said she was ashamed. She said she was afraid I would think she was sleeping with the client. I asked him why he had not told me sooner. He said because he wanted to protect her. He said he knew how much she meant to me. He said he did not want to be the one to hurt me with the truth. That I sat in silence. I thought about Diane. I thought about her tears and her apologies. I thought about the hotel receipt and the mystery that had haunted me for months. I felt a strange mix of anger and relief. The anger was for Diane, for lying to me for so long. The relief was for Mark, for finally telling the truth. I called Diane the next morning. I told her I knew about the hotel. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said she was sorry. She said she had been trying to save her bakery. She had gone to the hotel with a potential investor. She had spent the night there, in a separate room. Nothing had happened. But she had been too embarrassed to tell me. That I asked her why she had used Mark's name. That she said she did not know. She said she had panicked. She said she was just trying to cover her tracks. That I told her I was angry. I told her I was hurt. But I told her I still loved her. She cried. I cried. That we talked for an hour. We talked about the past and the future. We talked about rebuilding our trust. We talked about being sisters again. When I hung up, I felt lighter. The weight that had been pressing on my chest for months had finally lifted. The truth was out. The secrets were gone. There was nothing left to hide. Mark and I went for a walk that evening. We walked through the neighborhood, past the houses and the trees and the children playing in their yards. We held hands. We did not say much. We just walked. I thought about the blueprint of our lives. I thought about the cracks in the ceiling and the stains on the floor. I thought about the blue binder and the 11% and the hotel receipt. I thought about all the things that had tried to tear us apart. I looked at Mark. He looked back at me. His eyes were clear and open. He was not hiding anything anymore. I asked him if he was happy. He said he was trying. I said that was all I could ask. We walked home and sat on the porch. The sky was dark and full of stars. We watched them for a long time. Lily called that night. She was in the city, in her new apartment. She said she had met someone, a nice man from her office. She said she was happy. I told her I was glad. She said she missed me. She said she would come home for the holidays. I told her I would be waiting. Diane came over the next weekend. She brought a casserole, the same one she had brought months ago. This time, it did not feel like an intrusion. It felt like a gift. We ate dinner together, the three of us, Mark, Diane, and me. We talked and laughed. It felt normal. It felt like healing. After dinner, Diane helped me wash the dishes. She scrubbed the plates and handed them to me to dry. She said she was thinking about going back to school. She said she wanted to study business. She said she wanted to start over. I told her that was a good idea. She smiled. She said she was grateful for me. She said I had saved her. I told her she had saved me too. We finished the dishes and sat in the living room. Mark brought out a deck of cards. We played rummy until late. Diane won. She always won. When she left, I walked her to the door. I hugged her and told her I loved her. But she hugged me back and said she loved me too. I closed the door and leaned against it. The house was quiet. Mark was in the living room, putting the cards away. I walked to the kitchen and opened the drawer where I had kept the blue binder. It was gone. I had thrown it out weeks ago. There was nothing there but old receipts and takeout menus and a stray rubber band. I closed the drawer. I walked to the living room and sat next to Mark. He put his arm around me. I leaned into him. We sat in silence and watched the clock tick. I thought about everything that had happened. The lies, the betrayals, the tears, the truths. I thought about how close we had come to losing everything. I thought about how we had clawed our way back. I did not have a grand plan. I did not have a perfect life. I had a husband who was flawed but trying. I had a sister who had made mistakes but loved me. I had a daughter who was building her own future. I had a house with cracks and stains and memories that was not perfect. But it was mine that we went to bed that night, and I did not count the cracks. I did not stare at the ceiling. I closed my eyes and slept. I dreamed of my mother. She was sitting in her old kitchen, drinking tea. She looked young and healthy. She smiled at me and said she was proud of me. She said the roof was stronger than I thought. I woke up with tears on my face. But I was not sad. I was grateful. Mark was still asleep. I watched him breathe. His face was peaceful. He looked like the man I had married. I got out of bed and walked to the window. The sun was rising. The sky was pink and orange. The neighborhood was waking up. A dog barked. A car started. A bird sang. I smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. I went to the kitchen and started the coffee. I opened the curtains and let the light in. I set 2 mugs on the counter and waited for Mark to wake up. He came out a few minutes later, rubbing his eyes. He smiled when he saw me. He walked over and wrapped his arms around me. He kissed the top of my head. He asked how I slept. I said I slept well. He said he was glad that we sat at the table and drank our coffee. We talked about the day ahead. We talked about the garden and the grocery list and the bills. We talked about ordinary things. And for the first time in a long time, ordinary felt extraordinary. The story does not end with a bang. It ends with a quiet breath. It ends with 2 people sitting at a table, drinking coffee, and choosing to stay. It ends with a sister who calls to say hello and a daughter who comes home for the holidays. It ends with a blue binder in the trash and a hotel receipt that was never what it seemed. It ends with me, standing in my kitchen, looking out at the day. I do not know what the future holds. I do not know if Mark and I will make it to 50 years. I do not know if Diane will find her new path. I do not know if Lily will marry her office man or move to another city. But I know I am standing. I know I am breathing. I know I am still here, in this house, with these cracks and these stains and these people I love. And for now, that is enough. That is everything. The investigation was over. Mark kept his job, but the corner office was gone. He came home every night at 6 and made dinner. He asked about my day. He listened. He tried. Lily called on Sundays. She was in the city, building a life I only knew through her voice. She sounded happy. She said she would come home for Thanksgiving. Diane sold the bakery and moved to a small apartment. She called me once a week. She said she was thinking about going back to school. She said she was sorry again. I told her I forgave her. Mark and I went to counseling. We sat on a couch and talked about things we had buried for years. We learned to speak again. We learned to listen. One night, I asked him about the hotel receipt. He told me the truth. It was Diane's. She had used his name as a reference, and the hotel had made a mistake. He had kept it secret to protect her. I believed him. I did not know if I would have believed him months ago, but I did now. I threw the blue binder in the recycling bin. I did not look back. The cracks in the ceiling were still there. The stain on the kitchen floor was still visible. The house was old and worn and full of memories, but I was still standing. Mark and I sat on the porch and watched the stars. He reached for my hand. I took it. We did not say much. We did not need to. The truth had come out. The secrets were gone. The healing had begun. I did not have a perfect ending. I had a real one. I had a husband who was learning to be honest, a sister who was learning to ask for help, a daughter who was learning to be her own woman. And I was learning to let go of the cracks and hold on to what remained. The story did not end with a grand gesture. It ended with a quiet morning. Coffee. Light through the window. 2 mugs on the counter. I looked at Mark across the table. He looked back at me. We smiled. It was enough.